what is a living wage anymore,
I
right?
mean, I don't
It's
know.
it's expensive. I
It's
mean, it's
very
hard out
expensive.
there. Yeah, I mean, it's like a long story, but I mean, I've worked in restaurants and cafes.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Line Check podcast. It's me, Brennan Villarreal, your host, and today I'm in the studio with Kristin Colazas Rodriguez of Colossus, a bakery located in Long Beach and in San Pedro. How's it going today?
Pretty good. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
You're definitely one of my favorite places to go to on Second Street. It's
Oh,
like a ritual that me and my girlfriend love to do. Sit on the patio, get a pastry, get a coffee, and just like hang out and watch people.
oh, thanks. That's awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes some funny stuff happens on Second Street, and I'm just like, yep, that's why we're sitting right here.
Yep. Some good people watching.
Yeah, exactly. How's your day today?
It's going pretty good. Got back from the farmer's market. Long day of doing coffee, but it was a good time.
Did you guys just start doing that?
Been doing coffee at the farmer's market for like a little more than a month now.
Okay,
It's a
cool,
new thing though. We've
cool.
been doing that same farmer's market for 6 years.
hmm
So,
Yeah, I love the
yeah.
Marina Farmers Market.
Oh yeah. It's
Um,
the best.
are you guys the only coffee vendor there now, or is there?
We're still, yeah. So both of the coffee vendors, unfortunately had to stop doing the market.
hmm
So there was an opening, and my husband Nick roasts coffee, like that's his
hmm
side business. So we sort of jumped at it. We were like, especially we have some irons in the fire right now that we
hmm
sort of have to figure out. We're opening a warehouse. So there's just a lot going on, and we're like, that's an opportunity. Like we're not going to let the opportunity
hmm
go by.
Well,
So
that's awesome.
thank
Congratulations.
you.
Yeah, I'm excited now because I'll go to the Marina Farmers Market. I'm gonna get your coffee because there's nothing like a good cup of Joe while you're shopping for some good
Oh
produce.
yeah. Oh yeah. Sunday ritual.
Yep, exactly. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how you started baking?
How I
Like,
started baking. Like the
when
origin
the
story.
origin story. Like, how old were you? You were like 2 years old, and you're already like,
No, I don't remember being 2 years. I feel like I probably started baking at home with my mom, like cookies,
hmm
and it was very much like eyeballing it and using cups and stuff like that. And it wasn't that good.
cookie
And
cutters.
yeah, and like, cooking and I mean, I think in college I tried to do more, but I wasn't very good at it. I didn't measure, I didn't really understand it. So I wouldn't say that I was like an expert
hmm
baker as a
You
child.
didn't have like the patience.
Yeah, like I
I
didn't
definitely
I
don't
didn't
have the patience.
understand that it all matters.
Mhm.
Like when you're
Yeah,
baking like
yeah.
it's not like cooking where you can like figure it out as you go. It's like no, no, no. Like you need your mise en place. Like you need to have everything, like skills are awesome.
Mhm,
So yeah, I mean I started baking like I think a lot of kids do and a lot of girls specifically do. And I mean I liked it, but I don't know if I knew it was gonna be my thing. Like I was interested in cooking, and that's how I kind of started baking professionally. Was I was working in an office. I worked for nonprofits for like a couple years out of college. I was having trouble kind of like figuring out what my niche was.
mhm,
And I was like, man, I hate this. Like I'm making like $10 an hour and I'm working in an office, and like I like the mission of this organization, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Like I'm not making a difference.
mhm,
I don't like my job. And I was like, but I love cooking. Like maybe I could do that. So I just started hitting up every single place I could find on like Craigslist, every restaurant I was interested in, and started cold
mhm.
emailing them. And Moza called me. And
Wow.
that's how I started cooking professionally. But I think baking seemed like an easier sort of doorway for that. Like I think maybe particularly as a girl, like growing up
Mhm.
baking, it seemed like I could do that. I've baked before. Whereas like working a grill station seemed a little bit more intimidating, or,
Yeah, fire.
making salads for a living. I was like, I don't know. Could I do that?
I love the salad station. I love working garde manger.
I would
When I was,
totally work a salad station now.
definitely, like, working salad station, when I was younger as a younger cook, like, just being able to finesse everything in a very fast manner was very rewarding
Yeah.
and also very, like,
Also low key,
Uh,
maybe the hardest station.
it is just the hard. It is the hardest station.
Yeah.
Like you have to move around so much because
Yeah.
it's probably like 10 times bigger than like someone on like a saute station. Like you
Mhm.
only have to turn around in circles
Yeah.
as opposed to like going over there, going over there. Oh, I gotta get desserts or like
Yeah.
open my low boy. Oh, my mise en place. Oh, there's my produce is gone.
When I
Something
worked
like
at
that.
Octavia in San Francisco, pastry and garde manger were both downstairs. It was the little Quince kitchen. So they were pretty much next to each other. And I would always hit later, right?
Hmm.
Like dessert hits at the end. So I would have these lulls where I was just chilling, basically, like, like, oh, what can I prep? What can I do? And garde manger would be going down.
Hmm.
So I would go help shuck oysters or I would go toss a salad or whatever. And I mean, I low key wanted to work Garmo.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
But, I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's fun, I think, once you get good at it, but
Hmm.
it's totally the hardest station.
Yeah, and then I always love that one pastry chef that'll like jump in and like help
Mhm.
you. Shout out to you know who you are. You help me.
I think in that restaurant, it was, like, totally an expectation, which
Yeah.
I really liked because I'd never done that before,
Hmm.
and I was in this point in my career and in my learning, journey where I was just like, "I wanna learn everything." Like, maybe I wanna be a cook, maybe I wanna shuck oysters, like, I don't know, so it was all
That,
exciting.
that's awesome. So, where did the idea come to start your own business?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always wanted to get there. I didn't really know exactly what it was going to look like, but I worked in coffee shops all through college. I loved working in coffee shops. Every time I would talk to my papu about working in a coffee shop, he would just tell me about my great grandfather owned cafeneos in Greece.
Wow.
And it felt like, I mean, I didn't necessarily think I was going to own exactly that image, but it almost kind of felt like a legacy. Like you would talk about it just with like such warmth, like this was this space where everyone would hang out. It was always the same guys and they'd hang out every day. And it was just this like meeting place. And that's kind of how I saw cafes as I grew up in them during college, like just this nice place where everyone could hang out. And I had this kind of like, I don't know, general idea that I would open a cafe, but we would make our own baked goods because back, I mean, I don't know, 10 plus years ago, the baked good scene in the coffee shops was not so good.
Hmm. No.
So, I mean, that was sort of my thought. And I thought, well, how am I going to get there? Okay, I need money. I need to get a job. I need to save money. And then at some point, I was like, I don't think I'm going to make a lot of money working in nonprofits and I don't love it. So maybe I need to learn how to make stuff if I actually want to open, like, what do I want to do? Do I want
Hmm.
to be an owner who just owns something and doesn't know how to make anything and doesn't like the stuff they make? Or do I want to, like, actually, I don't know, like, care about the stuff
Hmm.
I'm making and really enjoy it? I decided I wanted to, try that out. So that's kind of like where the idea came from. I was living in the Bay Area. I was working in the Bay Area as a pastry chef. And I mean, I don't know, love brought me here. No, I met I like basically my now husband slid into my DMs when
Mm.
I was visiting for the holidays.
Sounds
That's
like the start of a new movie that's going to be out on A24.
coming soon. But yeah, so I mean, that was like basically how it happened. I mean, it was just timing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna move back home. I'm a pastry chef. What am I gonna do when I move back to Long Beach? Am I, gonna work somewhere? Am I gonna commute to LA? Am I gonna commute to like a hotel in Orange County?
Hmm.
And I was just like, okay, I've always wanted to do this thing. Is timing ever right? Probably not. So maybe I should just do it. So I just started doing it,
And
basically.
I guess it turned out pretty good, right?
I mean, I'm here. It's been like 6 years. I'm like, today I like blinked and it's been 6 years. So
Amazing. Well, congrats.
thank you.
It's really cool to hear a story like that as I've just quit my job of 4 years to do
Hmm.
basically like your own thing and take
Yeah.
complete ownership of what you want to do and then just go for
Hmm.
it and see where it takes you, put
Yeah.
all your heart into it and hopefully you'll come out on top. But yes, congratulations on 6 years.
Thank you.
Um, and just like being a big part of the community here. I think everyone takes notice and everyone loves Colossus.
Oh, thanks. It's been fun. It's like I mean, it's literally flown by.
Hmm.
So, which I think is a good thing, right? Like that means that I don't know. that means I'm enjoying it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. You've enjoyed
It's
it.
not it
I mean,
hasn't
I'm
been
sure.
drudgery.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was just gonna say that. I was like, I'm sure there's been lots of downs, and also lots
Yeah.
of ups too. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a ride, and I feel like I don't know, there's a lot like you said, like, there's a lot more people starting their own thing now. I mean, people were doing it back then. I mean, when we started at the farmer's market, it was kinda like this I felt such a sense of,
Hmm.
like, camaraderie
Yeah, well,
because
like we up as well. You know,
oh,
I
yeah,
started at the
totally.
farmers market as
They were
well.
sort of, like, popping while I was gone, actually. Like, when I was in San Francisco, I think was really when they were I mean, they owned that
Hmm.
market. Like, they did so I mean, everyone loved
Yeah.
them at the market. I mean, loves them now, and they built such a community there that they took to their store. So, I mean, I get so much,
Hmm.
inspiration and from them. I
Hmm.
mean, but I didn't really get to see that, I was gone. But I definitely heard about it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and
still hear about
it's
it.
cool to like see those transitions with different businesses, and like
Mhm.
starting somewhere and then moving into a space and then like bringing that back to them. So
Mhm.
it's really great to see that, and I want to see more of it. I mean, I love supporting the community. That's what this podcast is about. Is
Yeah.
highlighting small businesses and hospitality professionals and letting their fans get to see
Mhm.
them live on YouTube.
Yeah, so fun.
So let's talk about your business model. I heard that you pay your employees a living wage.
I
That's
mean, I
very
try
good. Yeah.
to. What is a living wage anymore,
I
right?
mean, I don't
It's
know.
it's expensive. I
It's
mean, it's
very
hard out
expensive.
there. Yeah, I mean, it's like a long story, but I mean, I've worked in restaurants and cafes in the front and in the back. I've worked as a server, I've worked as a barista, I've worked as a cook. um, and in some restaurants where there's huge pay discrepancies.
Hmm.
Um, you know, like when I was working as a pastry cook in LA, I was making I don't know, like $8 an hour. And some of those servers are career servers making 100K. I mean, do you remember Tips for Jesus?
No.
It's like some guy who would go around and drop like $10,000 tips on a check when he'd go around LA. And like he came in once when I was at Moza, dropped, it's a point system,
Hmm.
right? So they all got points. Pastry and cooks don't get points. Um, it just that's the system, right? And everyone has a different system. But that's kind of the problem.
Yeah. I mean, when I remember I wanted to move up to the Bay just because they got tips up there, the cooks got tips.
Yeah.
And there was no model like that at the time,
Mhm.
really in LA where cooks got tips. And I was like, I want to get tips. And it's like I was still only getting like $11 an hour as a cook, and then tips
Mhm.
in the Bay, but like down here is like whatever. I was getting like $8, $10 an
Yeah.
hour. I was like, this is but they
Yeah.
also like the rent is very expensive up
It was
north.
super
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was so stoked when I got a job up there. I was like, it's like, "Oh my god, I made it." And then I was like, "Oh, rent." Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I had a
Like, let
friend
me
that
pay
lived with like
that.
8 people. It was crazy.
Yeah, I had some interesting living expenses when I lived in the Bay Area. Probably not bad. I mean, I actually found like a rent controlled apartment that was like pretty killer, and then I left it behind because I met Nick and moved back here. Yeah. I mean, we try. Like when we started, we were an equal tip pool across the house, and when you're like a really small shop, I think that's totally doable. And it felt good. I mean, my goal was that one, I wanted to have a place where there weren't any pay disincentives to
Mhm.
move, right? So, like, if you're a barista and you're like, man, I've always wanted to learn how to be a baker, like, that's a skill I'd like to learn. Or I've always wanted to learn how to make pizza. Like, I want to do that. But generally, I mean, if you're a server at a restaurant or if you're working up front, you're going to take a pay cut to do that, right? At Colossus, you can do that. I mean, we don't freely move people around. We have we do specialize. But if you want to learn a different department, you can do that. And I mean, our dishwasher makes the same amount as a cook does or as our baristas do, because we value the work the same. It's all important.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely like a kitchen, and I know we have this show that we air on YouTube that's not part of the podcast, but it's
Mm-hmm.
called Battle of the Houses,
Mm-hmm.
where a friend of ours an employee and then a back of house employee battle each other.
Mhm.
And I know it's it's for fun and games, but on like my ethos of how a restaurant should be is everyone is on the same team. It's a
Yeah.
symbiotic relationship, and everyone's working towards one goal is to serve the guest. And
Yeah.
dishwasher is just as important as the host or server or the cook or a
Yeah.
mechanic. There's no mechanic, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or yeah.
but, like,
Hmm.
everyone who's there and I mean, I think it's hard as an employee to feel that, like, to really feel that in your bones. If you know that the person who just told you, that your pizza was messed up makes, like, $10 an hour more than you. Like, I don't know. I mean, uh, it's hard to all feel like you're in it together when there are big differences like that. I mean it's not always easy,
Hmm.
like, and it's also, like, a huge thing that I think, like, we as a company, like, I wanna talk about it more, that we do, what we do because it's really not normal. Like, no one else does what we do. I mean, we don't take tips at Colossus. We increased all of our prices. We start everyone at $21 an hour, and we have a range, so we can, if someone's been with us for a while, we can pay a little more. And then we started our leads higher too. So I mean, our labor is way higher than it used to be. And because of that, our pastries are more, right? And when someone sees that, they're like, that is expensive. Bye.
Yeah, I still
you
buy
know?
it.
And they'll walk out the door or they'll buy it and they'll be like, shit, that was expensive. And they don't understand what they're paying for. My job is to make that transparent
Hmm.
and make it clear. And I mean, that's why, like, for a long time, for 2 years now, we've had our wages like at the front register. Like, this is what, when you buy something, this is what you're paying for. This is what this
Hmm.
allows us to do. This allows us to provide health care. So
Yeah,
that's,
it's important to educate who your customers are,
yeah.
because if they're not educated, then most likely you might lose a customer in that
Yeah.
transaction if they're not
And if
aware.
they don't wanna
Yeah.
pay more for
For
that,
the yeah.
then that's
Yeah, it's okay.
okay.
You probably don't want them
That's
in there.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no hidden fees here,
Mhm.
right? Like, we're
Mhm.
laying it on the table, like, it's take it or leave it, but this is what this allows us to do. Um, and I mean, most people who do understand it, they're like, "That's cool. Like,
Yeah.
that's different." But it does take a little bit of, like, mind bending to be like, "Wait, what? I don't have to wait, what?" You know?
Yeah, well, I think
Yeah.
it's really cool, and it's really interesting to see all these different business models from people that have been on the podcast and
Yeah.
kind of like spinning it in different ways, but it's also like empowering their employees to further themselves and take ownership of their position or
Mhm.
whatever they're doing. So I think it's really cool to have that in Long Beach, and
Yeah.
because I don't know another place that does that right now.
There's
I think maybe one
yeah.
more place. I don't
There's
want
a
to say names on here, but I think there's like one more place, maybe,
yeah, there's a few
maybe
places that
two
are doing
actually.
interesting things. Like, I mean, cooks should be in the tip pool,
Hmm.
in my opinion.
They should, 100%.
Now I will say what we're doing, I mean, we are a fast casual model where I you couldn't maybe do that in a fine dining
Hmm.
restaurant, or maybe you'd have to do something slightly different. I think I don't know, maybe you could, but
Um, I had
maybe you could.
Mackenzie, my friend Mackenzie, and she's one of the partners at Stir Crazy. It's a
Mhm.
wine bar in LA, and essentially she pays everyone the same,
Mhm.
and they all work the same. So the cooks are also the servers,
Mhm.
and the servers are also the cooks. So they all run food together, and
Yeah.
but it's a very, very small place, so you can
Mhm.
probably, it's a little bit easier. You're not like, you don't have 50 seats. It's more like
Yeah.
10 tables. So it's different, but
Yeah.
in that sense, that model's interesting. It seems like it's working for her,
Mhm.
and so that's really cool to know all these different business models on like tipping and all that. So
When you can cross train like that, your runners probably know a lot more about the food
hmm.
than I mean, I don't know, unless you're a career runner, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're like real hardcore, which I mean, I've worked in restaurants like that where the runners know everything
Hmm.
and they're amazing. But I mean, they also are tipped out in a certain way. They make a lot of money.
And also builds confidence. Like
Yeah.
for me, like I for sure 100% do not feel great running food even at my own dinners. and
Mhm.
it and like
Yeah.
I'm like, where do I put this? I don't know. But like if I
Mhm.
was to do it more often or someone's like, you need to do this, like
Mhm.
it would help me over time build confidence and know what I'm like doing and how to like
Mhm.
put a plate on my arm and to like set it down on which side and say, do like stuff that servers do that I don't know.
Mhm.
But so it's cool to see that by empowering your employees to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, we don't do it as much anymore. It's actually something that I would like to improve on is training everyone in the restaurant on hospitality
Mhm,
and what it means and why we're here, right? Because that's like the mission of any restaurant is
mhm,
to sell food to people and make them happy. But I mean, I think as a cook or as a baker, to actually get to connect with the people that are eating your food, that's not something we always get to do.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because 'cause you're a fast casual.
yeah,
Um,
but we do get to
yeah,
do it
I
because we're
mean,
an
but
open
yeah,
bakery.
you're
So,
open, but a lot of the times that I mean, whenever I go there, I always have really good
hmm.
hospitality.
Oh,
Everyone's
thank you.
very helpful, ask me what I need or whatever, or did I get this?
It's a
Ask me like how I
small,
day, like a small
yeah.
transaction type of thing. It's not,
Hmm.
it's little things that I notice, and it's always like nice when I go there.
That's awesome to
Yeah.
hear. Yeah.
And also one of your employees came up to me, he's like, "You're on the line check, you do line check." And I was like,
That's
"Oh," and
cool.
it was like one of the first times
Mhm.
that I was actually recognized like in public.
Oh,
And
that's
I was like,
nice.
I was I'm still getting
Oh
used to it. I
no.
was like, "Oh, is this that guy? He's
Am
so
I a
annoying."
celebrity?
um, what is one of your favorite pastries that you make at Colossus?
Oof. I
I
I
guess tell
mean,
me like top 3.
ham and Gruyere, probably. I usually go
That's my
savory.
fave. I'm a
Yeah.
savory person.
Yeah, I'm usually gonna go savory, ham and Gruyere, miso mushroom, Danish, which might go off at some point here. We generally do that one when we're like in an off season.
Mhm.
But I really like it. That's with Long Beach mushrooms.
Nice. Long Beach
Um,
mushrooms.
Shout out
Yeah.
Long Beach mushrooms.
So good.
But yeah, I mean those are like savory, sweet Danish,
Yeah.
always like
Yeah.
any of our seasonals. I'm about and then pecan sticky bun. So low key like
Okay.
end of the day. Oh, there's a pecan sticky bun. I'll take that home. Pop it in the toaster. So good the next
Yeah.
day.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, I'm a savory person. I always go for the ham and Gruyere
Yeah.
croissant. That's my favorite.
That's like oof. Like if I'm doing deliveries in the morning or something and I'm walking by and there's usually like an ugly one on a tray, and it's
Snag it.
warm. That's the best.
You're coming with me.
Yeah, you're coming on the ride.
Um I was talking to you earlier and I don't know if I've said this in public before, but when it comes around October or end of September, whatever, when you do a pumpkin spice latte, I went to all the different coffee shops to get a pumpkin spice latte, and I just came to the verdict that you guys had the best one.
Oh, thank
It was so good. And I'm like a basic bitch, but whatever, you guys can judge me on that. But I love a pumpkin spice latte when the season comes around.
We love it too, and we make it a long season because everybody loves. I mean, not everybody, but lots of people love it.
Yeah, I always wear my wow, it was gonna be a really good joke, but I just ruined it. It's what are those like soft like moccasin boot things that girls always wear?
Not Uggs.
Yes,
Not
yeah,
Uggs. They're
Uggs. Yeah,
bad.
no, I'm just
They're
kidding. I don't wear Uggs.
But yeah, that's what you need with your
I was gonna
PSL.
go
Yeah, for
full
sure.
pumpkin spice on
Yeah,
there.
like a slouchy beanie.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about how it was opening up your second location, which is Belmont Shores location. How was that? Like after having one location, what made you decide to open a second one?
Yeah, it was, have you ever been to our first location?
No.
Okay,
But my
so
mom has worked in San Pedro
shame. I
right
know.
now. My
Shame.
mom's worked in San Pedro for like my entire life.
That's cool. Shout out San Pedro.
The port,
Yeah.
she worked at the port of
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so and I would always go visit her, but I
Yeah.
don't know, I just never just
Okay,
been,
well, that was no shade on San Pedro
yeah.
because our San Pedro location is awesome.
Mm,
We love it and we love being in San Pedro, but that location is very small.
mm,
So it's a galley kitchen. It's like a long, skinny space. It's about 600 square feet, but not only is it just 600 square feet, but it's like stretched out so you can almost reach your arms out and like touch the walls on either
Wow.
side. So imagine, it has a tiny hood. It's like maybe a 4-foot hood. And when we first moved in there, we were sort of like, okay, we can make this work. This is a cake. It was a cake bakery before. Pink walls, like
Mm.
pink everything. We were like, yeah, we can make this work. We're gonna be a coffee shop. It's gonna be so low key. Like people are, it's just gonna be like neighbors, moms coming in, getting a coffee, getting, a pastry, maybe a loaf of bread, no big deal. And we opened there with a pizza, like a $400 pizza oven, a Peerless, but like the smallest, shittiest Peerless you've ever seen. And we got it at an
Ain't
auction.
no Gozney like today, guys.
I was like, okay, it'll fit. It'll be so romantic. Everything's gonna come out of this little old piece of metal, this little box, and it's going to be great. And it was the stupidest decision I've ever made because I got rid of the convection oven that was there and we lost time. Convection is so much faster. Not to mention I couldn't use the bottom deck because it was
Hmm.
way too hot. It was burning everything. And I mean, we just had lines. It was
Oh.
insane at San Pedro when we opened. We were getting crazy, like bought out, just people coming buying boxes, like dozens of pastries. And I would have like a tray coming out of the oven of ham and cheese, and someone would be like, the whole tray. And I would be like,
What?
no, like I'm gonna
What
cry.
are
Like,
these people
no.
doing? Were they?
Dude, they were hungry for some pastries. They were ready for us. They were so ready. It was awesome. But
That's
but we couldn't do it with what we
yeah.
had,
Didn't have the
and like I didn't
capacity yet.
hire people because I was dumb, but also because I was poor, and like we bootstrapped it. I mean, we got in there and we were like cheapest oven that we can find. Yes, that will go there and it will work and it will be great. And it was not great. I mean, but it worked. And
Hmm.
we slowly realized, I mean, I realized that I was a giant idiot when I got that oven and that was the worst decision I'd made. And I was like, we're going to buy a convection oven, got a convection oven, went back to cast irons,
Hmm.
baked all the bread in cast irons, like 18 at a time.
Nice.
I mean, it worked, I mean, it wasn't ideal, but we were able to make pastries faster. And what I didn't know when we opened San Pedro was that we were not going to just be a coffee shop that sold a few pastries. Those people wanted pastries more than anything. Like they bought so many pastries. So I mean, we just quickly outgrew the space. Basically,
Hmm.
was what it came down to. Like we realized pretty soon on, like, okay, we can't get a bread oven in here. It's too small. We don't have power. I mean, the space was already sort of like at its limit.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic happened. And it was like, okay, how are we going to spread out 6 feet in a hallway? So I had people working graveyards. We basically went all delivery with our own drivers. So I had like people who wanted to work. I was like, do you want to drive deliveries? And they were like, yeah. So I was like, you get to be alone in a car all day. That seems pretty safe. So, I mean, we had like some of our OG employees, Josh, like was just driving deliveries, and like dropping off bread and pastries all over PB and all over Pedro. So it during the pandemic we started saying, okay, we need a bigger space, and La Strada opened up. Like she was done during the pandemic. She was already ready to retire. She left. I drove by it and saw a sign and I was like, that's it. Let's
Mm.
go.
It's mine.
Yeah, I was like, I can see it now.
Yeah.
I had like a waking dream once about like having a place on Second Street. Like I think it was where well, now it's Sushi Nikkei, but that used to be Magic Lamp.
Yeah.
And like
Remember that.
having a place where like people were walking in and they could see things being baked, and I like, I don't know, I just like I could see it and I was like, this will be great. And it's, I don't know, I didn't grow up in Beaumont. I grew up in like
Hmm.
East Long Beach, but I went to Wilson, so I was always like carousing around there. It just
Yeah.
kind of felt like a homecoming almost.
That's so cool. What a great story. I mean, yeah, I grew up in like Long Beach, like borderline Los Alamitos.
Hmm. Yeah.
um, so yeah, I'd always go to like Belmont Shores and then Still Beach area and like cross over those
Hmm.
ways. So um, yeah, it's a great spot to have a business. So much foot traffic,
Yeah.
a lot of people walking around and a lot of activities, a lot of different shops. It's a good time there. Just not at nighttime. It's not a good time at nighttime.
It's,
It's not my scene.
I
I've steered clear
yeah.
there even when I was going out still.
It's definitely I wouldn't say is 2nd Street my vibe. I don't know. I mean, now it is for sure. I don't know if I identified necessarily with the vibe of 2nd Street. I wasn't like Colossus is 2nd Street and this is our vibe. But I was like, I think that I want to create a place on 2nd Street where I want to hang out.
Yeah, your
Like
vibe.
I want to create
Yeah,
my vibe
yeah.
on 2nd Street. And I feel like there's people there that want that too. And that was kind of my
100%.
hope.
Yeah.
But it was a hope. I mean, I didn't know that, but I mean, we knew we had customers around there because we've been doing the Marina Farmers Market for so long. And I knew it wasn't too far. Like we lived in Belmont Heights at the time, and I was like, it's right there. Like it's close enough. Like I feel like that could be a really good spot for us to have like a place that's ours.
Hmm.
And it totally. I mean, it took a minute actually. Like well, San Pedro was just like we were bombarded and caught off guard. Like Belmont didn't start out like that. Belmont, we opened, and I mean, it was a slow climb. It was during the pandemic. Like
Yeah.
it was just a different vibe. Like our ribbon cutting, we were all masked and we had like little scissors, not the big scissors.
Weird time. Weird
It was just
times.
different.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been a slow climb, but we've slowly built our community on that street,
Hmm.
which has been like a really cool thing, I
Yeah.
think, to see.
Well, it definitely shows because I like going there, and it's literally the only place I go to. And so on Second Street.
Oh,
And then the window, I go there now sometimes, but not as much as I go to
the window's
Colossus.
pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Every chef that I've talked to, they're like,
Shout
I
out
go to the
window.
window, like every day. I was like, what? Every day? He's like, but I get the green bowl because it's
Oh
good.
yeah,
It's
yeah. You can
cheap.
get the green
Yeah.
pole. I think you can add a patty
Yeah, you can
and
add a
some
patty.
protein. All
Yeah.
of our employees like have all the hacks for the window.
Already.
They're like, "Have you
Wow.
tried the kale salad?"
Kel salad's good. I had it.
Everybody likes. I know.
Yeah.
I can't go there too much though. I'm trying to. It's a little too close.
It's very, very close.
We've definitely had a meeting or two at the window.
And also their shakes are really good.
Oh my
The
god.
strawberry
Yeah.
shake. I'm a fan of like fruity stuff, so that strawberry shake like hit the spot. It was like so like it wasn't too thick where like in and out where I
Yeah.
couldn't even like get any
No.
of it, and then it was just like enough where it was just like I can down in like 2 minutes, which was bad because I don't want to down a shake in 2 minutes, but I did it.
Yeah.
Um,
They're pretty good. I'd be down to do a collab.
do it,
Shake collab.
do it.
Window.
So we're getting to our last segment,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you've seen this before, but I usually ask a chef if what their best in the weed story is.
My best in the weeds story. Oof, man.
You can go back to the past when you're working in restaurants. You can go to like maybe today if you had one, or you can go to maybe there's lots of different in the weeds.
Oh man, I'm gonna
It
think of a
depends what you're
really
in the mood for.
yeah, I feel like I'm gonna think of a really good one after I leave when I really do some reflection. But I mean, I remember having a pretty traumatic. I was working. Oh gosh, I feel like I've had a lot. I've probably blocked them out of my memory. But I mean, I remember working at Octavia. We had this like cocoa meringue dish on that. It was like an Eton mess, but there was a cocoa meringue that was like a component of it. And I remember making that, and I was going to incorporate the cocoa. Um, and I had it on 3 from doing the meringue. This is like such a noob mistake. But yeah, don't do that. Don't leave it on 3. But no, I left it on 3. And just literally was covered in like in meringue, in cocoa, so like dry, wet,
Hmm.
just literally everywhere. I was in the middle of service. That was a pretty bad one.
That sounds horrible.
That was a pretty bad one. Yeah. You like, you're in San Francisco, so you're like, I don't live close by. Like,
Mm-mm.
you gotta go somewhere. I think I just cleaned up and then I just got back in it. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, we've
There's
all,
so many.
God, there's so
I
many.
have a really funny one that reminded me of that. It's it's very embarrassing. It's just like you're in the heat of the moment, you're on the line,
Yeah.
maybe you're running out of stuff. So I was we'd grind our own pepper,
Mhm.
and I was like kind of new still, and I was on the line, ran out of pepper, need to go grind my own pepper. I was like running to the pantry, got more peppercorns, and then I
Mhm.
got the grinder. Harry did it, and I was like, oh shit! But like, I gotta clean the grinder because
Mhm.
like I can't leave it like a mess, or then if I
Yeah.
put it back, someone's like, who the fuck used the grinder last?
Yeah.
And then so I was like, all right, I gotta go, but because I got tickets still, and I blew into the grinder and basically pepper sprayed my face.
So then you were blind for the rest of
Yes,
service.
exactly. And I was like, ah. Uh, that's a moment I forgot about it until you like said you like got stuff all over you, and it just reminded me of pepper spraying myself
Oh, yeah.
by
I mean,
blowing
I
inside a
wasn't
grinder.
blinded, thankfully. But I was really sticky and disgusting the
Yeah.
rest of service. Yeah, I don't think I had anything on either. I think I grabbed some snaps. Like I had like a dish shirt or something and I put it on over and then had to like peel it
Did you
off
have chef
after.
whites?
No, we were I forget what the brand is, but like you know those like really nice soft, it's like something cap. The really nice
Oh,
soft ones that are like dark gray.
yeah, yeah.
Melissa Prello bought the really nice
Dang,
one. She got
dang.
the really nice ones. But yeah, we had those. But I don't think I was wearing mine, which was another new mistake.
Just
Um
kidding.
yeah.
Safe.
So I think I was able to like, at least look somewhat
Yeah,
presentable
yeah.
for service. But it wasn't great. No.
Awesome. Well, that sucked, but I'm glad you got through it.
It was
Yeah.
fine. No, I mean, we've all like I've burned myself. I burned myself at Moza during service and like passed out.
Do you not do good with blood
Do I not
or
do
like cuts like that?
well, this is a third-degree burn.
Ye- I don't do good with blood, so any kind of cut I pass out.
I have a pretty high
I don't
tolerance
have
for
a high
pain, I
tolerance.
think. Like I do blood. No, I'm fine with blood.
Oh God.
No, this was
I
bad.
am not. I am not. I've gotten pretty bad burns, but
I've burned
I just
myself.
kept
I mean, you're
working
just
through it.
yeah, you got to
Yeah.
keep working. You don't
It's very,
stop.
it's very, it's so toxic.
You just have to keep going.
Just
Well,
keep
not
going. And
anymore, not at
yeah,
my
not,
place.
yeah,
We don't do that.
back in the day,
FYI.
that doesn't exist anymore.
No. You burn yourself, go get some burn cream.
Yes.
Let's maybe send you home
Yeah,
or to the doctor. But
exactly.
yeah,
That's how a business owner should be.
so we're trying to
Yeah.
do here.
We,
Safety
yeah.
first.
When we were younger, we just like to just suck it up. But please tell us if you're hurt because we don't want you to be hurt.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, it was really fun to have you on the podcast. It was really fun meeting you for the first time. And
Yeah,
I feel like
same.
we've met before. It feels really weird. Like, I
Like
feel comfortable.
through layers.
Yeah, through layers. Like, I
Yeah.
know your husband from school.
From Los Alamitos
Yeah,
High
from Los
School.
Alamitos High School.
Yeah.
It's just it's crazy. It's
It's a
a small
small
world.
Long Beach.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And La Salle.
In Los
Smaller La
Al.
Salle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, great to have you on the podcast. I'll be coming soon
Thanks so
to get some
much.
pastries, get some bread, get some coffee. I hope you have a good rest of your evening, and make sure you check out Colossus and follow them on Instagram and look at the new sticker on the locker, and have a good night, guys. That's it, and that's your line check for today. Bye.